Upon entering the Crook's Nook, Durin and Shenpa met the two adventurers who had come to answer Otari's call for aid. The first was a woman named Ania, a cleric of Desna and servant of the same cosmic caravan that Ren Svinsky served. She was drawn by the call of adventure, and though she had heard of the newly discovered dungeon's deadliness, it did not deter her resolve to see it for herself in the slightest. The other adventurer was a goblin named Boblin. Boblin was a gunslinger and a talkative chap who spoke of strange concepts to his new friends. He claimed to be something called an eternal champion who had lived many lives, that he could sometimes remember brief glimpses of. The horrors of Gauntlet did not seem to frighten him at all. While meeting in the Crook's Nook, the party was invited by Inzmiria, the owner, upstairs. Our heroes were surprised to see the upper level was a more posh and comfortable environment. The beautiful and mysterious woman poured them drinks and proposed a business arrangement. The party would bring any items of value that they needed fencing to her. She was the leader of the Thieves' Guild, and her attempt to plunder the treasure of the Abomination vaults by sending her men had ended poorly. If not for the party, her men would in fact be dead. She promised fair terms, and of course the party was under no obligation to sell her anything they wanted to keep. They were not fully convinced of her motivation, but she explained that there could be items that traditional merchants would find unsavory to deal with, but she had contacts that would gladly take such controversial treasures off the party's hands. After a brief resupply, the newly formed party made their way to Gauntlet, and it was there, on the first level, that they were greeted by a massacre. While our heroes had been back in Otari regrouping, the Molochs had invaded the upper level, finishing their extermination of Boss Scrong and his MIT Flit gremlin gang. They strung the would-be boss up with rusty chains, an effigy of warning to the party that they did not heed. Descending yet again into the second level, the party found the Molochs had set up an ambush with traps and soldiers. The new party members quickly proved their value, though Boblin especially demonstrated an aptitude for slaying his foes with precise strikes from his boomsticks. Though his firearms were loud and ungraceful, he tore through the ranks of Molochs with bloody ease. The party spent some time exploring the northern reaches of the second level. They discovered the room where Gauntlet's power extended from the floor to the ceiling, directly below where the lighthouse itself was located, where the remains of a giant purple worm had lain dead for centuries. They also discovered a mysterious hidden room with a skull apparatus on the wall, but could not activate it despite Durin's attempts to do so. After that, they had a brief but intense battle with the giant skeleton of an undead Minotaur, and turned back from a watery chamber that they believed contained a great beast of some kind. Eventually, they found their way back to the east side of the dungeon. It was here that they met a devil named Zazlarin. The bug-like devil had been bound by Belkara to clean the floors of the dungeon with his tongue. He yearned for release from his contract, but needed to find it first. The party agreed to help release him in exchange for a boon when the task was complete. To aid them, Zazlarin promised to bind an imp to the service of the party if they would return in a day. Before departing his chamber, Zazlarin imparted a vision of an event he had seen over 500 years before. A wounded man was staggering through the halls of the dungeon nearby, hiding in a very close room. The party recognized the man as Otari, the thief of the Rose Guard and namesake of the town that had hired them. The party realized that Otari's body had never been found after the battle with Belkara, and that he had likely stumbled into the lower levels somehow and become lost. Our heroes went to the room they saw Otari stumble into in the vision. Upon entering, glowing green letters spelled out a message: "I was Otari, save me from below." The ghostly energy of the letters formed a beacon that led the party to a secret stairway that led further below into the dungeon. After some strategic conversation, the decision was made to explore more of their current level before proceeding to the next. This decision would lead them to a large chamber in the north of the dungeon that held a gallery of miniature dioramas of the city of Absalom, as it would have appeared 5 centuries before. Each depiction of the metropolis was laced with illusion magic that showcased a different apocalyptic event as the light of Gauntlet fell upon it. 2 of these depictions included the dead rising as an army from the massive graveyard of Absalom, as well as monsters being teleported directly into the city streets. The final chamber of that area was covered in thick cobweb. A creature named Mimnevix resided there, calling himself King of the Ghost City, and demanded fealty from the party. Durin attempted to reason with the beast, but to no avail. As he entered the chamber, a noose made of web closed around his neck, almost ending his life. The party fought bravely and were able to dispense of the web lurker and his dream spider minions. Our next chapter begins with our party having rested in the unsettling chamber, preparing themselves for their next steps into the Abomination vaults.